From the early days of the coronavirus pandemic, doctors on the front line have relayed promising news about the anti-malaria drug hydroxychloroquine. The president, wanting to cheer up a frightened nation, cited that drug at one point as a potential therapy. Because the president was hopeful, the press was the opposite of that. Basically, they opposed finding a cure for the coronavirus because they feared it might give the president some political advantage. This was everywhere. Here are a few examples. USA Today wrote this, quote, "Dr. Donald Trump peddles snake oil and false hope." CNN, needless to say, said the same, quote, "Trump peddles unsubstantiated hope in dark times." The Washington Post, a loathsome publication, barely even a newspaper now, a few days later declared this, quote, "Trump is giving people false hope of coronavirus cures. It's all snake oil," cliches being a specialty over at the Washington Post. None of these people had any clue, any freaking clue what they were talking about. In fact, they're the ones who are peddling unsubstantiated snake oil. Hydroxychloroquine is still being researched, but this will tell you a lot. Doctors who are actually treating people who are sick with the coronavirus seem to believe in it. Many of them do. Here's how we know that. A global survey of 6,200 medical professionals currently fighting the coronavirus pandemic found that hydroxychloroquine was the most frequently cited drug they would turn to treat patients. It had the plurality, 37%. It was number one out of 15 options. The biggest believers in hydroxychloroquine were not people who watch Fox News or even governed by Donald Trump. They were doctors in Spain and Italy, two countries where the epidemic has been the worst. Just to let you know unequivocally and for all time that the media lied about a potential therapy to defeat this disease and save your life because they're political partisans. That tells you everything you need to know. Fox medical contributor Dr. Mark Siegel joins us tonight. Doctor, thanks so much for coming on. Without dragging you into all the political nonsense, that's not your world, not where you live, not where you want to live. Tell us what doctors are saying about hydroxychloroquine.
Hi, Tucker. First of all, hydroxychloroquine has been looked at in the test tube in China and found to be very, very effective against this coronavirus, specifically a part of the cell where the virus enters. That was a very strong study. Then China also had some follow-up studies where they looked at the effects in people, and it looked very effective in people. In France, we've talked about a study in France which was pretty small but showed that it was effective. Now, as you said, doctors have been using it all over the United States. Many are saying that it's working. We've seen it in New York State, giving it to hundreds of people right now in hospitals with a lot of promising signs. And finally, the University of Pennsylvania has just begun a major double-blinded, randomized, prospective clinical trial. And you know when they do that? When they spend that kind of money? When they believe a treatment may work. So I can't prove to you that it works at this point, but it's extremely promising, and there's a lot of evidence that it does work.
That's so interesting. Do you think, and this is politically tinged, but I cannot resist, the terrible publicity this drug has received just relentlessly over the past 3 weeks? This is a crackpot cure. This is snake oil. Do you think that has made physicians hesitant to try it as a therapy?
No, I think physicians go with what works. I think physicians are facing a situation where they don't know what to offer patients, where patients are getting worse. And the idea that there's a drug out there that's very well tolerated for malaria prophylaxis and for rheumatoid arthritis and lupus, that you could use it for something like this, makes doctors want to try it.
Right, that's right. I mean, I think a lot of us have, I know I've taken it on trips abroad to malaria zone, sub-Saharan Africa, or whatever. It's a common drug. So here's another question I just wanted to ask. There's a message you said you'd like to deliver to nurses and doctors tonight fighting the coronavirus. What is it?
Tucker, Caius Kelly was a nurse who died last week, tragically, may not have had enough personal protective equipment in New York. John Murray is a 92-year-old physician who helped discover the kind of lung problem that's actually killing people from coronavirus, and he died of coronavirus. We've been seeing a lot of medical professionals on the front lines, emergency technicians, nurses, doctors. Over 60 doctors in Italy have died trying to treat the COVID-19 coronavirus. I have a medical student who I trained, and he is now graduating 3 months early at NYU Langone Medical Center to go on the front lines to fight COVID-19. He's reinvesting his soul in why he went into medicine in the first place. He has fear. He has worry about his family. His name is Gabe, by the way, but he is investing himself. A lot of doctors around New York right now are changing their professions. They're going from being an orthopedist or being retired or having been on the front lines now to go to fight the virus. That's the war against the virus. Healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, ENTs, we're on the front lines, paramedics, and we should congratulate them for their efforts.
I couldn't agree more. The rest of us are cowering in fear, and we should be afraid. And these people are jumping face first into a situation that could kill them. And I really admire that. I think we should all admire that. Thank you, Dr. Siegel, for saying that.
Thank you, Tucker.